Welcome to a new weekly wrap-up. I'm Jay, joined with S.
Hi.
And today we'll be walking you through the art we made this week. To start things off, for day 36, the prompt was Snowball Fight. For this prompt, I decided to draw Layla and all of her friends snowball fighting, although of course she's the only one chucking a snowball here, but but for this one I wanted to invoke some childhood memories at recess, where we would, go out and snowball fight with friends or classmates, and yeah. So for this one, initially I was considering, drawing kind of Layla on her own, maybe dodging a snowball or throwing one really dynamically. But then I was like, at least for me, and I'm not saying that you can't snowball fight with just two people, because of course you can.
Yeah.
But for me, my memories of snowball fighting is always a group of people.
Yeah, kind of like a team activity.
Yeah, and so that's why I was like, you know what? I feel like, having one person like Ray, making all of the ammo, all of the snowballs on the side, and then having Liam's doing the same thing.
I didn't know.
And Layla, hurling the snowballs in their direction with Ruby peeking out. It's kind of, peak snowball fighting.
Yeah.
But also they're all behind a snow fort and stuff like that as cover. I don't know, to me that invokes, my own childhood memories.
Yeah, I mean, what I want to say about your piece for Snowball Fight is I actually really like how you managed to fit so many characters into your piece.
Oh, thanks.
Even though obviously Ruby and Liam don't really see much besides the tops of their heads.
Yeah.
But I think the struggle sometimes with our challenge, because we're using either a square format or a vertical format, it's hard to draw many characters without them kind of overlapping one another or blocking one another. But this time, even though you don't see much of the other characters and they're being blocked by their snow fort, I do like how you, A, like I said, managed to fit so many characters, and B, even though they're blocking, right? Because like I said, that's one of the usual issues.
Yeah.
But it makes sense for the scene.
Yeah, because they're behind the snow fort.
And so you kind of were able to use the, I guess, disadvantages of our format but still make it work.
Yeah. And part of the reason why I chose to do this also was because initially I had a thought to frame it Layla was either dodging a snowball or she herself was throwing a snowball, sort of like a baseball pitcher.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. Yeah.
But then I guess I wasn't really sure, because snowball fight, the snowball has to go somewhere, right? So either she would throw to no one,
I guess throw to the camera or something,
to the viewer,
right?
to the viewer, or I guess she would dodge one thrown by somebody else. Yeah. And so, but then for me, I was just okay, but I feel part of snowball fighting is actually hitting other people, right? And so that's why, even though I think that could have been really interesting,
right,
I opted to choose one where I could show off more characters.
The team aspect. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say that I do like the pose that you actually drew for Layla, because you immediately know what she's doing.
Yeah.
But now that you also bring up the whole, it could have been really dynamic and almost action packed, where she's dodging a ball, I think that would be really cool too. So it's kind of obviously for that you'd probably have to choose one or the other, whether it's the dynamic shot or the one with multiple people, and obviously we know which one you chose in the end. But I still think it could have been cool if you did the dynamic one, but one's not necessarily better than the other, I think.
Well, I mean, maybe in the future, if we ever do, let's say, a baseball prompt, we can do that instead.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you did baseball, right? You won't be able to hide characters behind a snow fort.
True.
You know what I mean?
True. So I guess for baseball though, it could be between the pitcher and the batter, but whatever.
Exactly. So yeah, that was pretty much it for a snowball fight.
So for day 37, the prompt for this day was strawberry crepes, and actually this prompt was a request from one of you guys, our viewers. And so this one was honestly a bit more complicated than I initially thought. And I think one of the reasons was because we've done a couple of food prompts at this point.
Oh yeah, no, like every week there's at least one
and
or
like
two
that's
food
perfectly fine because we love food and we love
Yeah.
drawing food. But I think what made it a bit more difficult was because I didn't really want to tread the same ground as Jay's prompt, because actually I think this is only the second time I did a food prompt, because I did chocolate cake one of the previous days, and but then you did croissant day, you did hot chocolate, you did hot pot, you did pasta, and you did tea. I did. And so I didn't want to. I mean, I could have made it like somebody munching down on a yummy strawberry crepe, but I kind of decided, like, you know what, I'm gonna try to do somebody making a crepe instead. And I kind of went with that one instead. And so because I did the making crepe thing, it became a bit more complicated because, like, we have to put all the ingredients and like the the station to make it and whatnot,
the equipment. And
yes. And so, anyways, because I decided to do that, I also decided to choose Liam because he has not been a part of any of our food-related prompts yet. And
You're right, though.
And so, like, obviously, for us, like, when I'm thinking of sweets, like, my first thought is Ash because he's our character who loves sweet things. But then I was like, Liam can kind of get in on the action too. So, and since I decided to not make somebody eat, right, and like, okay, then he would be perfect for like making things. Like he's good at that type of
I mean, he seems to be the type of character who has a high attention to detail and stuff like that. And actually, in your picture, I really like that. I feel like this sort of crepe, food truck or stand, really reflects, like, the environment really reflects him, right? And the way that you kind of drew it, like, it's very like clean and it's very like organized and tidy, and like, he runs a tight ship. And so I mean, I really like it, and I think having him make the crepes is a really great way to do the prompt, because you're totally right. I mean, like, all of our other food prompts are generally like them eating the thing. But I mean, your picture really invokes, like, to me, some of those like ASMR videos of like, making crepes on a food truck. And I mean, like, your picture has a really like homey vibe that I really like. It's really warm. And I think it suits him perfectly.
I mean, initially I did, like, it is a food truck, or it's supposed to be, right? And not like a cafe vibe, which we've been having a bit more of in, like I said, our previous food prompts. And actually, for the window, you probably could see it in the rough draft, but which I didn't end up doing in the final draft, where I actually had Ash, Ray, and Layla at the window, like, eating crepes, and Liam is making a crepe for one of them to eat. And in the end, I kind of took them out just because, like, this picture became a lot more complicated, as I said, or more detailed than I initially thought.
Right.
And so I took them out, but in their place, I was able to make, the rest of it a bit more detailed, which I actually really like. I really like that for me, the small details, I think, in this picture is what I personally really enjoyed making the most. Things like, thhether it's the bowl of strawberries, or like the Nutella, or like the can of powdered sugar, or the, squeezed bottle of strawberry sauce, like those types of things, like, I didn't need to have in the background or whatever, or even like the pen to like make the crepe. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, I think it helps to not just set the scene, but also set the, I guess, tone of the picture. Like, it feels more complete. And I'm like, I'm a little bit reminded of my like films and movie prompt, where I was able to draw all those kind of extra things. Like, I didn't need to draw a plant, I didn't need to draw the things inside the TV console, or even really like a sophisticated movie on the TV screen, but it's kind of what brings it together, right?
And it makes the whole like space seem like lived in, or like more real.
That was my personal favorite thing about this prompt.
For sure.
The extra details.
And on to day 38, it was alpine skiing, and just before we get into it, we wanted to acknowledge the very unfortunate accident that happened during the Olympics regarding alpine skiing.
Yes.
And our alpine skiing video just so happened to release a couple of hours before the unfortunate, accident.
Yes.
And yeah, I really hope that, the athlete has a very swift recovery.
Yes,
and that
of
she's
course.
doing okay because
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like, we didn't want to make it seem like we were like farming the accident in any way, and we definitely didn't, because we obviously posted it before the accident happened.
Yeah.
And just to know obviously a bit of the, I guess, behind the scenes here, like we post the prompt list a week beforehand, right? And
Yeah.
alpine skiing was there like on that day, like a week beforehand,
Yeah.
or at least several days. And for us, we generally create these artworks and are short a few days beforehand,
At least a day or two.
a day or
Yeah.
two beforehand, leading up to release on that day, or else it'd be very difficult to release daily.
Right.
And so there was no way that we were able to even predict this. So we definitely weren't like trying to farm this accident in any way.
Yeah, and because like this was the very first
Yes.
of our sort of Olympic, winter sport
Yes.
prompts, if the accident had happened
Like sooner.
like before we released this picture, I think we probably would have just outright,
Skipped it.
avoided or
like
skipped.
changed the sport.
Yeah, changed the
And just
sport.
so happened,
Yeah.
alpine skiing was our first of
Yeah.
many.
Truly, honestly, unfortunate timing, but like we said, like I hope the athlete, I
Swift
hope that,
recovery.
Yeah, I hope she has a swift recovery and that she's doing okay.
Yeah.
But anyways, onto the process of it all. Because it was the Olympics, I wanted to show kind of the greatest things about winter sports because of
Yeah.
course S and I really enjoy winter sports, although we don't do it too often, but we grew up doing some winter sports and skiing was one of them. And I think for skiing, when I think of it, especially alpine skiing, it's very fast, lots of twists and turns,
Yes.
and I kind of wanted to show that in Ruby's pose. So yeah, I mean, skiing, I feel like is one of those sports where I wouldn't say that it's not like super flashy, but
Yeah.
like
I think it's a little bit underrated, because I think
Yeah.
when you think of skiing, like there's a lot of different types of skiing. Obviously there's alpine skiing, there's like moguls and those things, but there's also like cross country skiing. And when you
Yes.
do cross country skiing, it's a little bit more like low key.
Yeah, exactly. Or there's the one with like the rifle, is it like
Yeah.
biathlon or
Yes.
something? Yes. And so like, there's a whole bunch of different like types of skiing.
Skiing categories.
Yeah, in the Olympics, but I chose to do alpine skiing. And yeah, like I mean when I was looking at references and stuff, like I thought that a lot of the athletes outfits were really cool actually.
okay.
And so I kind of wanted to put Ruby in a cool outfit too, or at least I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, I think you did a great job, because like we were making, as I said, our like kind of winter sports, Olympic sports prompt list,
Right.
And we were looking through a bunch of sports like alpine skiing or an upcoming like bobsledding and like just some other ones. And I noticed, or say speed skating, I noticed that a lot of these sports, like these athletes are in like skin tight outsuits.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, how do we make this
Yeah.
look cool and like not like just like right? And I think you did a really good job. I really like it.
I mean, because like initially when we were considering a skiing prompt, like I remember we were even thinking of like ski jumping, and I was like, man, these people are wearing like practically like leotards,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
like
yeah.
long johns, they're like, I mean, they're not quite like that, but
Yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I mean, right? And so like,
Trying to eliminate drag.
yeah, exactly. I mean, the aerodynamics, am I right? But I mean, I think for me, I was just like, okay, well, if they have to be in a skin tight outfit anyways, then they may as well be like, skiing down the hill like really fast or whatever, making it kind of dynamic so it's not just the only thing that people are focused on.
Yeah. I mean, when you're talking about like your pose, like what I actually really like a lot about your alpine skiing like pose for Ruby
Yeah.
is that how I guess subtly realistic it is, because you can see like it's a bit covered by the snow that you have on her feet and legs. But I like how it, like, her feet are like tilted to show kind of like the braking that you do for when you turn,
right,
past these flags or whatever. And I just like that little subtle detail.
Yeah. The only other thing that I thought that could have sold it a little bit more, I suppose, is by giving her like a number, which I
like
forgot to do, but I was like, I
yeah.
don't really know what number to give her. I'll think about it later, and then I ended up forgetting.
I think they also maybe, I guess, have some lines down the mountain, but like whatever.
And then the only other thing that I saw that a lot of athletes have are like sponsorships. But then like for me, I was like, I don't really want to put like, you know, ARC's logo or like Pumpkin Grotto or something, or like the University Triangle, so I opted not to, but like I think definitely a number and like brand logos and stuff would have really sold it.
Yeah. Time for day 39, and for this day it was Canada's, or one of Canada's national sports, hockey. And you know, everybody loves hockey, and so what I really wanted to do was, you know, it was a good opportunity to do something dynamic and cool. And so, I mean, not to say that the other, you know, winter sports that we chose aren't dynamic and cool, but I was like, you know, this is time, like one of the only times where you could really have some, I guess, aggressive action going.
Yeah.
And so, this one was, fairly, it was difficult, and I'll tell you why. So I was looking at references, obviously, like I do, and you know, for this one I had a pretty strong idea of what I wanted to do. I either wanted to do like two players kind of clashing against each other, kind of like body checking each other,
into the boards. Or
something. But like I was like, is that really hockey feeling? I mean, like, yes, there's like hockey fighting, but like I'm like, you know, in the spirit of good competition, I'm like, maybe that's not the best.
You don't just immediately throw down the gloves and start
going
exactly at each other.
So I was like, okay, I'm going to do Ash shooting a hockey puck instead, like at the viewer.
Right.
Like not in an aggressive way, but you know, just to,
you know, he's
And so the biggest problem I had obviously was references, because you know, in real life, you know, shooting at a camera is quite dangerous.
Yeah, for sure.
And so a lot of the reference I had for like shooting were like off to the side or like whatever, right?
And
like whether it's outside the rink, I mean, I guess it could have been in the rink too, but like basically not the way that I wanted to.
Not framed in the way that like you drew it now.
Yeah, and the only, I guess, real quote unquote reference, I was like, is that AI? Like it was very much like a not to say like gradient background, but like kind of like like just made up background. And like whatever. So it's like, okay.
It didn't seem right.
Yeah, like there was even one with like the hockey puck made like glass cracking, like like shards, like, you know, cracking your screen type of kind of effect, and I'm like, I don't know about this one. And so for me, I kind of just tried to, not to say wing it, but like I kind of just had to make do with what I had and just kind of make my own. And like it was difficult. I don't really know how well it worked, but I do think I was still able to do mostly of what I wanted, so I'm still pretty satisfied.
Honestly, I really like it. I mean, I know, like, you said that just now that you had to like wing it a bit, but honestly I think it looks great. I mean, I love the sort of blurred hockey puck and the blurred hockey stick. It looks really dynamic. Like, I really enjoy it, and also because well, number one, it gives like,
the motion blur helps a lot.
Well, yeah, it gives a lot of movement to, you know, the puck and stuff. So even though they're in the foreground, right, it seems like it's moving, but because Ash is still kind of the focus of the picture, like you are like, your eyes are still focused on him, right? But it shows off a lot of the great like action of hockey without, you know, like we were saying before, like, you know, fighting or whatever.
And like for me, I did want to put like, say, other players on the ice, right? But like I thought that they might be a bit distracting. So then at minimum I'm like, okay, I want him to be in like a rink and maybe with people spectating, so then I kind of have them in the background.
And I mean, honestly, like, I think Ash was the perfect pick for this prompt, because,
you know, he's sporty, you know,
I mean, but on top of that, like, I think for me it's like his build really fits the prompt too, because like hockey players, like, even if their size is not like incredibly big, which which I mean they usually are anyways.
Yeah.
But like their equipment, like all of the
It's
pads
bulky,
and whatever is really bulky, kind of like football players.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
really like bulky because of all of their padding, because it's such a high
Physical
contact
sport, yeah.
sport, right? And so it makes them really big, and I feel like Ash is perfect for that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
actually, while we were talking, I kind of remember what we were talking about in like the alpine skiing. Like, I think like I probably could have used like a bit more, like say like ads or something, like on the
yeah.
uniform or on the helmet or maybe on the side of. I mean, the side of the rink doesn't usually have it, but you know, I'm like, I guess it's kind of missing something, huh?
Yeah.
But like, it's
But I mean,
still fine as
So
is.
the star on the jersey is a really nice touch. Like I really like it. And yeah, I mean everything was I mean I think everything is really nice, and even your quick heated rivalry reference was,
Oh, yes, in the short.
your script was really good.
Yeah, because I
Well-
mean, like, I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to mention it, like, just kind of very vaguely, either at the beginning, but then I couldn't really make it fit, so then
Yeah.
I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stick it at the end.
I think it being kind of subtle is what makes it really work, right?
Yeah.
Because like you're talking about, you know, heated rivalries
On the ice.
on the ice, whether it's between countries or like
Yeah.
whatever. And yeah, I mean it was perfect in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like, for us, like, as, you know, Canadians, we have a pretty, I guess, famous rivalry with the US for
Right.
hockey, and I'm like, you know, for that type of thing, like, it was so easy. It was so easy.
And I think it was absolutely perfect. Okay, and on to day 40, it was clouds. And for this one, we decided that we didn't want to do back-to-back-to-back winter sports prompts
Yeah.
because, like, you know, I feel like even for you guys, the audience, and for us, like, we didn't want to make things too
like overloaded, and just
Yeah.
kind of give like a day break in between
Yes.
before going back to sports again.
Yeah, exactly. And so for this one, for clouds, I immediately thought of cloud watching because I mean, sure, I could have just drawn like clouds, but I mean, I think for me, cloud watching was one of those things where it's just like, you know, it's so like, because it's so relaxing, it reminds you of like simpler times
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like feelings of just, you know, not being that burdened with
Yeah,
the world
yeah.
or whatever. And so I just had Ray relaxing on a hill, maybe near his home, where, you know, there's not too much civilization near him, and he can just kind of let go, right?
Yeah.
And so of course the clouds that he's seeing in the sky are suspiciously animal shaped. There's the era animals, like for their code names. So of course we have a rabbit, we have a dog on the side, and okay, I was trying to draw an owl and a lion, but truthfully, I don't think I was that successful.
Yeah, the ones on the left, right?
Yeah, and so the owl, I could only remind myself of like Rowlet.
Oh.
And so the shape is a little bit odd, I have to
Right.
say. But I mean, I didn't want to make it a blob. And then so for like the lion's mane, same thing. Like, because I kind of drew it as a blob, because like, how do you make the lion's mane look like a lion?
Yeah.
And it just ended up, and so like I ended up just like shoving it into the corner.
Yeah.
you know, as long as the you know, rabbit and the dog are like somewhat legible, I was like, this is fine.
Yeah. Well, anyways, like, what I thought about your picture was you kind of briefly mentioned it already. It's a simple prompt,
Yeah.
and you know, it's a simple composition and drawing in general, but you know, I kind of like it because it works, right? It kind of, because of how simple it is, it gives off that, you know, nostalgic feel, and as you said, relaxing feel, and like you said, like thinking of like a simpler time. And when I saw this, it reminded me of like a hill that's nearby our old elementary school or
Yeah.
whatever, and you know, just like think, it makes you think of, as you said, more simpler times, like you said, back in childhood and whatnot.
Yeah, because actually my initial composition, as you guys might have seen already, was actually Ray. It was Ray's back towards the camera, and he was looking out into I guess the view, and then there would be clouds. But then part of me just wanted to show his expression of being relaxed and enjoying the view, right? Which I think you know, his backside would not have necessarily shown, not in the same sense of like you know how for the paint prompt when I drew central, like that one was a sense of awe, like you could see what Ray was seeing, right? And just kind of, you know, making Ray's expression sort of ambiguous. But for this one, I because I knew that I wanted to draw a relaxing environment, I wanted to see Ray's expression and body language in that expression.
Yeah, I mean, I think what really helps, like, with the way it turned out is that you kind of mix that sense of daydreaming and relaxing with, like, the clouds and those things. And it kind of gives it a nice and whimsical feel that I think maybe you wouldn't have been able to show off as well if it was just the backside.
Yeah. And just as an aside, after I finished this drawing, I was like, yes, I'm done. And then at the back of my mind, I'm like, wait, this reminds me of something. And then I thought of it. It was the Windows XP.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does have that feel.
So I can't really unsee it now, but like that was really funny to me when I thought of it. But yeah.
My final prompt for this week for day 41 was bobsledding. And wow, this one was, I feel like I've been kind of saying the same thing for every prompt, saying like, you know, this one wasn't easy.
Yeah.
But this one especially, I think more than a lot of other prompts, I did a lot more research for. Like,
right.
A lot of the times for research, you know, I'm maybe researching poses or like outfits or that type of thing as reference. But for this one, I really had to just kind of research the sport itself.
Right, yeah.
Because, like, you know, I watch bobsledding, but I don't really know too much about it. And I think for this one, like, it was more so a debate for me. It was like, okay, how do I showcase bobsledding? And do I want our characters to, like, participate and do the bobsledding? Kind of like our previous prompts, like, you know, they're doing the sport itself.
Yeah.
Or am I going to just have them watch bobsledding? And you'll see in the end that I chose watching bobsledding, but I'll kind of, like, I guess, show you my thought process on how I got here, right? And so for this one, I did, as I said, a lot more research. So I was watching videos on bobsledding and like how people even make their tracks and those things.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was a combination of, or I found out that bobsledding is, you know, either a single, doubles, or a 4-person sport.
Yeah.
And so initially when I was thinking about this prompt, I was like, okay, maybe I'll draw like 4 of them, like pushing the bobsled to start the race.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But then I kind of mentioned it during the alpine skiing one. Like, this was a genuine concern of mine where I was like, I don't know how to make them look cool in their like skin tight outfits. And like, yeah, no, it was a genuine concern for me because like there's gonna be 4 people across the bobsled, and truthfully, if it was gonna be 4 people pushing, those 4 would end up taking up the majority of the like art piece, like, rather than the actual bobsled itself. And so
for sure.
I was like, okay, well, I don't really know if I want to draw 4 full-bodied people pushing the bobsled.
Yeah, that's
or
fair.
if I just want to do them like bobsledding. But like, if they're bobsledding, it's also kind of hard to, I guess, like, draw them and figure out.
It would be hard to identify each character.
Yeah, exactly. Figure out who is who, right? And I even considered, like, okay, like, maybe I'll do the mono bob, like the single solo person. And I think usually, I'm not sure, I think it's usually with, like, female athletes. So I was like, okay, what if I got Layla or Ruby to mono bob it, and then somebody's watching them do it. And I'm like, okay, so then what? Their hair is flying out in the back behind them, and like, I don't really know. I'm like, because I know like usually these things, like, you know, probably the hair is bundled up in behind in their helmet.
I can't imagine.
And I was like, I can't really figure out a good way to do it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna have Ray, in this case, watch somebody bobsledding instead, and instead I can focus on how fast it is, and like the you know, I said I did some research on like the tracks and kind of so show off the 180-degree turn, and basically how like it goes so fast that they're basically climbing up these ice walls.
Yeah. I mean, I really like your piece. I mean, like you said, of course, this one, like some of your other ones, was also quite challenging. But when I was initially thinking of how you would frame the piece for bobsledding, I also thought that maybe you would do it like them pushing the bobsled, and like running on the track, right? But like you were saying, like, I feel like it would have been so difficult to differentiate the characters, because obviously they're all wearing the same thing. They're all like covered by helmets and stuff. And actually that's part of the reason why I chose Ruby for alpine skiing, because she was more recognizable in our cast, so to speak. And so like for this, especially if you had like a 4-person bobsledding team, right, you have probably 3 characters that look probably very similar, and I mean, like, you know, Ash, Ray, and Liam, likely. And so I completely understand why you chose not to do that composition, because even I was thinking about it. I was like, that doesn't really, like, yes, it is bobsledding, but at the same time I'm just like, is that really the best, like, framing for the piece? And, you know, I think the way that you handled it was really good. I mean, you mentioned like some of the sort of I was gonna say single player, but like individual bobsledding, monobob or whatever it's called. But I remember when we were deciding on prompts, we were wondering if we should do, you know, between like bobsledding or like luge or skeleton, and because they are similar, at least to me as a very casual viewer, fairly similar sports, despite, you know, luge and skeleton looking even more dangerous than bobsledding. I feel like you know, what you chose to do, which is like the bobsled kind of zooming by in the background, really shows like the highlight of the sport itself, like it climbing up the walls, and also kind of low-key sort of the adrenaline junkie kind of vibe of the, you know, sport in general.
Yeah, because like while I was watching like these bobsled runs, I noticed like there would be people spectating. At least I think it was people spectating. Maybe it's the coaches, like like on the sides of the track. And I'm like, oh my god, like there's people there, and I was like it could be behind the TV, but I'm like, wouldn't it be kind of cool to just see it in person, just be like shocked like by how fast it's going. And and as you just to kind of as an add-on to what you were saying and how, like, you know, it'd be very difficult to tell them apart, like even for like the bobsled team that I kind of hastily drew that Ray's watching, right, you can only really see the front person.
Because they're all like huddled
because they're all like huddled, like ducking behind, and so like the only one, like when I was watching those videos, that you could only really see was like the tops of the first person, because they
gotta go fast.
No, they're steering. So So I was like, you know, that's why if I drew, say, our characters doing the actual bobsleighing, like, who is at the front? I don't know.
Basically you only see one character, and it's like
so like, even though, like, you know, they aren't actually participating in the sport, like kind of like our other pieces, I think this was an okay compromise, I hope.
I definitely think so too. And on to the final day, day 42, it was down to skating. So for skating, just like some of our other sports like skiing or whatever, we had, you know, different types of skating that we could choose from. So between like speed skating or figure skating, I was like, okay, well, you know, a lot of our other prompts were very like
having a helmet and skin tight bodysuits.
I mean, yeah, they were very like I want to say like sport heavy, and not to say that like figure skating is like not a sport, but it's just like, you know, the other ones are like we gotta go fast or whatever,
like time trials.
Yeah, whereas figure skating is more a lot of times like a performance.
Well, there's the whole technique aspect and like landing the trick or whatnot.
Sure, but then like it's also like there's like choreography and stuff that goes along with
music
it. Yeah, exactly. And so I thought that it would you know, differentiate itself between our other prompts, and so yes, I decided to do figure skating. And so for this one I decided to draw Layla skating, and initially I was considering doing like a paired dancing thing, but in the end I decided to just do a, you know, just her on her own, because I felt like, you know, a lot of times with figure skating, I feel like some of the best performances are so memorable because these figure skaters have such a like strong stage presence, right, just like, you know, dance or theater, right, where they just kind of like capture your full attention. And so for me, I was like, you know, I think just having Layla performing, you know, a trick or whatever, and just being really graceful and elegant about it all was kind of what I wanted to highlight about the sport.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I was looking at this picture that you did for the first time, like, I think elegance is honestly the first word that came to mind as well, right? And I think you did that really well, and I really love her pose, and especially when you like put it with the whole setting behind her. I think it screams like competition, right? And I think for me, like, what I particularly like about this piece is that, you know, Layla, maybe you couldn't really tell so much in some of our previous prompts, but like, you know, in our webcomic and whatnot, she is actually wearing a lot of blue. So and honestly, I put her in a lot of blue a lot of time because that's not to say her color, but like it's just the color that I associate with her a lot, right? And so putting her in red really makes her stand out very well against the navy background and whatnot. And I think just your subtle details, like adding the logos and stuff to it, helps really sell the whole competition-esque like aspect to it.
Yeah, and I mean, on the topic of her outfit, I mean, I think for me, one of the best things about figure skating outfits is that they're so like they are obviously fairly like flashy, right? Because they have a lot of like decorative elements to,
right,
you know, the outfit itself, but also they're still very like movable in a sense where like athletes are definitely able to like obviously perform tricks and whatever, like it's still easy to move in, right? So that they can perform, you know, at the degree that they're able to, right?
Their choreo.
One of the things though that I decided to do though was fully tying up Layla's hair. So you know, normally she has bangs covering her forehead and stuff, and you know,
and her long ponytails.
Exactly. And so for me this time I was like, just to kind of be more in line with the nature of the sport, when I was doing my research and looking at references for, you know, women who compete, a lot of times, or actually all of the time, if they do have long hair, they are tied up very neatly in buns and stuff. And I think part of it is like the practicality of it all, because like they're spinning and doing all of these tricks, especially with their skates and stuff, and it's
especially like sometimes if they're like really flexible, like their foot is like to their head.
Exactly, and you don't want anything to get caught, right? But also likely because it has influences from different, you know, dances like ballet or whatever. So I decided, you know, even though Layla's forehead is looking a little bit, you know, naked compared to usual, I decided to fully, you know, tie it up just like a regular figure skater would.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was like the whole like this realistic aspect of like subtle realism, I think is what really sells this piece for me, like whether it's her hair or another thing to point out is all those like skate lines on the ice that you did, like because I didn't really notice it like in the short that you made, right? But when looking at it like clearly now, right, as a final product, like I noticed these subtle details that you did, and which really makes me wonder, like, oh, I wonder what her whole routine was before this moment, and I wonder what kind of competition that came before her because of all those skate lines, which makes it like it's so little, but it adds so much more story to it and depth to it, right?
Yeah, and actually that was kind of the point of it, because like when I was drawing the thing and referencing all of the photos, I was like, you know, the rink always gets kind of not like busted up, but like there's always, I mean, the skates are practically like knives on ice, right?
They are. They totally are.
So obviously they would scratch up the ice and this and that, and I just felt like it would be a little bit, not like disingenuous or anything, but like I feel like it would have been more realistic to just have those lines subtly in the background, because like they're not like obvious, but you know that they're there, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it.
Alright, and so that's all for this week's weekly wrap-up from the both of us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. If you'd like to see more, you might be interested in last week's video too. See you there.